Good day, how's it going? I'm doing very well and I hope you are too. So, the 2018 World Blitz Championship has just finished. It was played in the Russian city of St. Petersburg for 2 days, December 29th and 30th. It finished just a few hours ago and Magnus Carlsen won it again. No defeats, 17 points out of 21, that's 8 draws and 13 wins, which is very, very impressive. With only half a point less, second spot was taken by Polish Grandmaster Jan-Krzysztof Duda, and on third spot, and with 14.5 points, Grandmaster Nakamura from the United States. There are many videos on YouTube talking about this event, but I'm going to focus on Duda's result, which was not only unexpected, it was an incredible performance, which sent his rating from around the 50th spot to the 7th place in the rating list. He went up a staggering 123 points in just one tournament. Can you believe it? So let's see a few of the games played by this prodigy from Poland. Now, before we start, let me tell you about a channel that I bumped into a few days ago. It's called Tricks of Chess. It's run by a candidate master called Viktor Neustroyev, who's got a rating of about 2200, and he's getting close to the FIDE master title. His channel has less than 200 subscribers, and that just isn't fair, because this channel is special, and I'll tell you why. Sometimes he analyzes his own games online, and his comments are incredibly sincere, very honest, and instructional. But you don't have to trust me. Give it a chance, try it out, and decide by yourself. Okay, this is the first game, Duda against Grandmaster Aronian. And we get to this position where white wants to play at d4, a move which is pretty hard to stop, because if black goes d4 now, we can trade pawns, going knight here, attacking the pawn, and if black plays this move d3, then white's got knight here, and suddenly the pawn on d3 cannot be protected. So Aronian played this, possibly threatening d4, so white played d4, bishop g4, bishop b2, and now Aronian decided to take on f3 and then take on d4. So both sides have isolated pawns now, but white's got the two bishops. The bishop on b2 doesn't look particularly active, but in the long run, this type of position is probably easier to play for white than it is for black. So both sides castled. Yeah, bishop d8 intending bishop b6 looks like a sensible idea, but white's going to play knight here and possibly knight c5 in the future, so I'm not sure if this is actually the most accurate plan for black. It doesn't strike me like a terribly good idea, to be honest. Okay, so bishop d8, knight here, bishop here, b4. Yeah, knight c5 is coming next, and now I must say this position is already looking pretty good for white, because black doesn't really have a good plan. So rook here, knight here, takes. Now queen b1, which is interesting. If queens come off, the pawn on b7 will be under attack, and black's position looks rather difficult. So Aronian decided to keep queens on the board. Yeah, if he had played knight e4 instead, then possibly just queen c2, and it's just difficult for black. So queen f4, queen d3, this, that one, king here, knight d8, and now a simple plan, rook here, intending rook to e2. It's such a pleasant position for white. Knight e6, rook e2. And in this difficult position, Aronian now blundered with knight takes c5, which even if it didn't lose material, which it does, after d takes c, white's position is completely winning. At this point, of course, Aronian resigned because he's losing the bishop on b6, his queen is on, and so is the bishop, so he had to resign. Yeah, I don't know. Duda didn't do anything special in this game, but you can tell that he was always a little better. So let's see our next game. Alright, this game is Duda against Grandmaster Jones from the United Kingdom, and let's see what happened. Yeah, this is the Trompovsky system, which is becoming very popular again, and I can understand why. It leads to very unusual positions and very interesting ideas. So, taking here, and now c4, which is a critical move. Black has the two bishops, but White's position is quite nice. He's threatening to take on d5 and develop his knight to c3. Black's got to make a decision. It's never easy because if he plays a move like e6, White can take, and if you take back with the pawn, just look at those isolated pawns. If you take back with the queen, then White gains a tempo with knight c3. So it's a difficult position for Black to play. C takes d, I think, is best. Knight c6. Taking is a good decision. And now White takes on c4. He's getting his piece back with queen to a4, check, and then pick up the knight. And rook here, queen here, and we get to this position. I like White's middle game chances here. He's going to put a knight on e2. He's going to castle, and then put his rooks on e1 and d1. There's going to be lots of pressure against e7. Despite Black having the two bishops, those two bishops never really reach their potential, and that's why I prefer this position for White. This is an unbalanced game. This is one of the reasons why people like the Trompovsky so much. So queen a6, yeah, if the queens come off, I think Black's got a better chance of equalizing the game. So queen a3 is good. And now he's threatening that, bishop to g4. Now h3 doesn't really stop bishop g4, he can still play it, and if pawn takes, and suddenly our rook on h1 is on, and so is the queen. It gets tricky because we can actually take this pawn and threaten the queen, I mean the rook on c8, and when he takes on h1, we move over here, and his rook is on, and so is the queen. However, he's got this intermediate move, in-between move, the rook is on, and c8 is no longer under attack. So yeah, h3, I don't think it works. So simply castle here, queen e4, White simply threatening these, and then knight f4 or knight here. Queen c4 again, if the queens come off, I think Black's doing fine. So knight here, f5, can't take it because then the queens come off and he takes on f5, so queen e5. And Jones is creating several weaknesses here, particularly the e6 square. Queen e6, this pawn is on. Although I'm not sure if White would take it, he'd probably go rook here. Can't take on d4, of course, because the rook is on. f4, the queen is on, knight f5. And the position is critical now. This could be a threat. I mean, it is a threat. Knight d6 check in here, and possibly queen takes, because if he takes back with the bishop, then knight takes c4. I'm sure White's got several other threats. The only move here was probably rook to c6, exploiting the fact that the pawn can't take, because then the queen is lost. But White can go queen to e1 here, and it gets interesting. The rook must stay on the third rank to defend against knight d6, which is a really nasty knight fork. So the rook is on, he's going to move it, probably rook b6, and this would have been quite interesting. It didn't happen in the game. After knight f5, Jones played rook to d8 and then rook here, and this position is close to winning for White. I mean, if Black takes on f5, queen takes, and this is a formidable position for White. So instead of that, he chose f3, which is a huge blunder. Knight g7, and the game was over, because if bishop takes, then queen takes e7 is checkmate. Yeah, I mean, this is a blitz game. Grandmasters do make blunders in blitz games. What do you expect? Okay, let's see our next game. And here we are. And this is Indjic against Duda. So Duda plays this system with b6 and knight c6, which is incredibly unusual. But e5 is interesting now. Bishop b4 is interesting also. Bishop c5, intending b4, bishop f4. Yeah, it's funny because this bishop could end up getting trapped, but it's not easy to prepare b4. I mean, against a move like rook to b1, black could take on g1 if he wanted to. So yeah, I don't know about these. I mean, moving the same piece twice in the opening and no clear threat. I don't particularly like these. Maybe white should take on f6 and then play knight d5, but then the queen would retreat. And white's dark squares are pretty weak. I don't know. I just don't like bishop g5 in the first place. Knight g6, bishop g3, and now knight here. That square is a little bit weak. Knight takes g3. It's a positional threat. I think black's doing fine already. Takes, and now knight e5. It's difficult to advance this pawn because then g4 becomes weak and black can simply put his knight there. So white prefer this. Bishop b6, this pawn is on, but it's not easy to protect. You can't play b3 because this is on. Very difficult to defend c4, but white thought that maybe he had reasonable attacking chances on the king side by means of g5. Bishop takes and now g5. And it looks as though white's got some initiative here. Pawn takes, knight takes, we've got the open file, but after bishop takes f1, white now went a little bit crazy with queen to f4. I mean, he's a piece down already, and the attack, I guess he wants to go queen h4. The immediate threat is rook down, followed by queen check and queen to h7 checkmate. But black can play moves like queen to f6, like he did in the game. And now I don't think white's attack is going anywhere, because if we go queen here, then black simply goes queen to h6, and even if we take on h6, there's always this bishop e3 followed by bishop takes. And the same thing happens if after queen h4, queen h6, white takes here, then black can simply go bishop check and take the knight on g5. So in the game, after queen f6, knight d5, queen takes, knight takes, bishop e3, and the game was over. However, in this position, in this tricky position, white did have an interesting idea which might have given him a chance to get something out of this game, and I think that move was g3. And this is a simple idea. Our idea is to play f4 and then bring our queen to h2. The immediate threat again is rook down followed by queen here. So white's going to be very careful. Black's going to be very careful. White could also take on f1 next move, and I think he's got reasonable attacking chances. It's a pity that he actually missed this move, because it definitely gives white some attacking chances. For example, rook e8, so that this no longer works because we can take it and then the king can run away to e7. But then we've got g4, and when the knight comes here, we've got queen d5, attacking f7, and when he protects this pawn, we take here. Now, yeah, sure, he can win the exchange, but the resulting position is very interesting. Knight takes f1, and now we go e5, threatening rook down again, followed by queen to h7. And if he goes g6, instead of picking up the knight, we go knight to e4, and this is one of those positions that you could end up winning in a blitz game. White's a hot rook down, but he's got some really nasty threats. He's got those two dangerous knights, this rook. I mean, maybe we can take here next move if necessary. Knight f6 is coming next, whatever happens, and I think this would have given white a very good chance of turning the tables. It's a pity they missed that. Let's see what happened in the next game. Here we've got Duda against Gelfand. He plays bishop g5 again. And yes, d5 here. Black can try to hang on to his pawn a4, undermining those pawns. And now, rather than defending them, white goes bishop b7. We take here. Queens come off. The bishop has to retreat. And now I don't know this move, maybe it's book or not, I'll have to look it up. Bishop e2, it's quite an interesting idea. The idea is simply to swap light squared bishops, and when the knight comes to f3, then knight d2 and pick up this pawn. If black takes on g2, then bishop f3. He can't take on h1 because then we take back with the bishop and he's got problems defending that rook. So bishop takes, knight takes. The idea is pretty much the same, knight here, knight here. Knight d7, knight d2, knight b6, and now king e2. And our plan is rook to a6, then we double up. And it's going to be pretty hard to defend that pawn on a7. Because if the knight retreats, we can simply take it or even go b6. So I like white's chances here. It looks like a very nice position for white. So instead of that, Gelfand played knight to d7, bishop f3, takes, and e6 now. So knight d2. I'm not sure why he didn't play knight and b6 now to defend his pawn on c4. I guess it might have been a better choice, although white can still do the same thing. You know, you can play knight here, rook here, king e2, and double up on the a file. Maybe this is a possible move also. Instead of that, he played f5, and now after knight takes c4, it just looks way better for white. b6, king to e7 to connect both rooks. b7, we take on a7, and now that pawn, it's just too strong. Knight to a5. We're going to be threatening king e2 and then f4, and then that square is uncovered. King e2, king d7, king c7, check, trade rooks, and rook down, and the game was over. But after knight a5, if black had played knight d3, king e2, knight takes b2, still knight here, and it doesn't look like a nice position for black. This is just too strong, this pawn and this threat. So those are Duda's games. You've seen some of the games that he likes to play. He plays unusual opening systems, and maybe that's why he took so many players by surprise and he scored so well. But apart from that, he's an incredibly talented grandmaster. I mean, 123 running points in just one tournament. It's just unbelievable.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.